What's up guys, it's Joe with Blake Photo. In this video, I want to talk through the leaks that we're getting about the upcoming Apple iPhone event. This event is scheduled for Tuesday, October 13th, which is in just about a day and a half. But for those of you who are just itching to know what's going to be happening, we have some of the specs and what to expect from the iPhone event. And I want to specifically talk about some of the stuff that we're going to be seeing on the camera side of things, right? This is a photography channel. I use my iPhone all the time for photos. So let's go ahead and dive into the specs. Now, if you like videos about cameras, photography, videography, or drones, GoPros, or anything like that, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. That like button tells YouTube that this is the right kind of content for my channel and that I should be making more of it. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. While you're there, go ahead and hit the bell. And if you are already subscribed to the channel and you haven't hit the bell, go ahead and do that now, and I will start sending you notifications every time I make a new video. The reason that that's important is that I am working really hard to try and get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of this year. So I've got about 2.5 months to get about 1,700 subscribers. I really want to hit that 10K number before January 1st, 2021. I'd really appreciate if you help me do that by hitting that subscribe button. Also, if you're into stills photography, go ahead and hit me up over on Instagram. I'm at jblakephoto, where I'm posting photos from videos that I do here on the channel and from my adventures and hikes and trips and camping and all that sort of stuff. All right, so enough of that business. Let's get into talking about these phones. Now, before we get into the models themselves, I want to talk a little bit about what is going to be the A14 Bionic processor. This chip is probably going to be what we'll see in upcoming ARM Macs. At least the ones that are going to be announced at the end of this year. We actually, for the first time ever, have actually seen this chip in the wild before an iPhone was announced with it. Normally, the way the timeline works is that an iPhone is announced in September with the new A series chip, and then at some time down the line, we end up getting an iPad, maybe an Apple TV with an augmented version of that processor. In the case of the iPad, normally we get a beefed up version with maybe a few more cores in the iPad Pro. But now we have the iPad Air, which was actually announced last month, that has the A14 Bionic in it. This chip is built on a 5nm process and comes with over 11 trillion operations per second of horsepower. It's a 4-core CPU and it has 11.8 billion with a B transistors in it. Sorry, did I say 4-core CPU? It's actually a 4-core GPU and a 6-core CPU. It includes a machine learning controller and special accelerators for machine learning coding and processes, with a neural engine that now has 16 cores in it. I really don't expect a lot of surprises here. There have been some that have proposed that we might see this chip augmented, increased either in speed or size or cores before they put it into the iPhone. I don't think we'll see that. I think honestly we're just going to get this exact chip as it is in the iPad Air into the iPhone. Now, when we get the new edition of the iPad Pro, it'll probably have the A14X or A14Z. And then if we get an ARM Mac, we'll get probably even a different version of it, or maybe a slightly souped up or a modified version of the version that's in the iPad Pro. But for the iPhone event that is on Tuesday, I think we're just going to get the A14 Bionic that is in the iPad. There's a lot that we don't know about this processor, but the most interesting thing is that it is 20 to 30% faster than its predecessor, though its predecessor wasn't slow. Now, moving on to the specs for the phones themselves, if you are old enough to remember back when Steve Jobs created that 4x kind of quad grid for mobile and desktop components or mobile and desktop products that Apple was going to offer, right? You had consumer mobile, consumer desktop, pro mobile, pro desktop, and you had to have something in those 4 categories, and everything else pretty much fell by the wayside when they were simplifying the lineup that they had. This feels oddly similar. We've got a small, large, pro small, and pro large. You're probably going to hear a lot about how there's just so many options in the iPhone lineup that it's going to be confusing, but I like this. There's actually going to be a lot of choice for people because in addition to these 4 models, you're also still going to have the iPhone SE, which will have the current version, right, the current iPhone 11 hardware in it, but in a much smaller package. And I'm sure that that will continue to be on sale. So the four models that we're going to see are the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Pro, and they're each going to be coming in two sizes. You'll have the iPhone 12 mini, which is a 5.4 inch, which is funny considering the fact that just a couple of years ago, a 5-inch phone was the biggest that they offered. The current offering of f1.8 on the wide and an f2.4 in the ultra wide. Now the ultra wide camera on both the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 11, while super wide at 120 degrees field of view, it's not been great, honestly. I love the ability to shoot super wide with that lens, but I'll tell you, the optical quality is pretty poor and the sensor quality is also pretty poor compared to the 26 millimeter version. So the 13 mil versus the 26 mil. The 26 mil is just far superior in terms of the quality of the camera. These are both on this new iPhone 12. These are both going to be a f1.6 lens, and that almost tells me that we're going to be getting the same sensor in both, and that would be amazing. That would be huge. I'd be very excited to see that. No word specifically on the megapixel count here, but I'm guessing they'll stick with 12, though you may get improved sensors similar to or exceeding that on the iPhone 11 Pro that we have now, which is just a great sensor in this iPhone 12. So again, coming in two different sizes, the 5.4, which is the mini, and the standard size, which is the 6.1, which is what we're getting now. Looks like colors are going to be coming in black, white. No change on the size offering, 64, 128, 256 gig options, with a starting price of $699 and a release date of November 6th. Meaning you'll be able to order it on November 6th, you'll probably get it about a week later. The only difference on the iPhone 12 with its 6.1 inch screen is that it will cost $100 more at $799. The other interesting thing to note about the iPhone non-mini variant, the iPhone blank, standard, whatever it's going to end up being called, the iPhone 12, is that it will be available right away for pre-order the second week of October, and then available or hitting doorsteps probably by the third week of October, whereas the mini won't actually launch until the middle of November, which is the same sort of thing that we're going to see on the Pro side. So moving to the iPhone 12 Pro, we have the standard size, which is the 6.1 inch, which is interesting because now that's the same size as the iPhone. And if you previously wanted the iPhone, the smaller version of the non-max version of the iPhone, it was a 5.8 inch screen, whereas the iPhone 11, the standard iPhone 11, the $699 offering, was a 6.1 inch screen. So there was kind of this weird disconnect where if you wanted a smaller phone, you had to buy the $1,000 Pro. But now you'll actually have the $799 6.1 and the $999 6.1 in Pro and standard variants. And then you'll have a mini version of the standard variant as well. But as with last year's offering, we're also going to have an iPhone 12 Max, which will actually also come with a larger screen, now up from 6.5 to 6.7 inches. So slightly larger than the current offering of the Max, which is a 6.5 inch. Now, this phone will come with the triple lens setup similar to the current Pro. We've got our 3-lens setup here on the current Pro model. This is the Max. But unlike this model, we'll also be getting a LiDAR sensor, which is the same thing that we have on the current iPad Pro. The LiDAR sensor is used for things like augmented reality, as well as improved portrait mode photos. And now we still get, in the triple lens camera setup, we're still getting the ultra wide, wide, and telephoto. So we're still getting a 13, a 26, and a 52 mil, though on the Max, the 52 is actually 65. So it looks like they've packed in a longer zoom range, which I am very happy about. Quality of the lens and the quality of the sensor in that non-standard, that 26 mil, was not very good. So the 13 mil wasn't great. And even on the Pro, the 13 mil and the 52 mil, they were good, but they were not great. They were nowhere near as good as the 26mm. I would often find myself doing 26mm panoramas over using the wide angle, or punching in digitally into the 26mm instead of using the 52mm, because especially in low light environments, the quality was just much better. My hope is that we get the same sensor across the board. My hope is that we really do have 3 of the same sensor in this camera, and 2 of the same sensor in the iPhone 12 standard variant with 2 lenses. Now these 2 camera setups are also getting that 1.6, that f1.6 upgrade. And color-wise, we're going to be getting gold, silver. They're now calling, I guess, black, or I guess they're now calling it graphite. It used to be space gray. I don't know, just call it black. Can we get a black iPhone again? And we're going to be getting a blue model. So unfortunately, it looks like my greenie is going away. I love this color. This has really been my favorite. Looks like pricing and storage availability is also unchanged. We'll be getting a 128, 256, and 512 gig variant, with the 6.1 inch being available on the 16th for pre-order, and again hitting doorsteps by that 3rd week in October, and the 6.8 inch, the Max, not being available until the 2nd and 3rd weeks in November. Pre-orders being on the 13th and shipping hitting around the 20th. And with these new sensors and new cameras, my expectation, also with that new chip, that A14 Bionic, my expectation is that we're going to be getting a considerable improvement to things like deep fusion, the night mode, which I love. I do a lot of night bike riding, and I love riding out into the mountains and being able to stop and take photos of the mountains in pitch darkness and having them come out super cool. And I'm sure we're going to get improvements to the smart HDR. We might even get some improvements to some of the video settings, maybe 4K 120. But considering the fact that to move up to 8K, we would need a considerably larger sensor, I seriously doubt that we're going to see anything along those lines. So that's what we have learned. That's what we have. Again, the clock is maybe 36 hours before this information's actually going to hit at the event, and I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of new stuff there. Let me know down in the comments if this is going to get you to upgrade or switch. I'll be real honest, I am on the fence. And part of it is because of the color. And I know that sounds dumb, because I actually do use my iPhone quite a bit for photography, especially when I'm out camping, hiking, and on my mountain bike. I really just love that color. So let me know down in the comments. And again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of this year, before January 1, 2020. Also hit me over on Instagram. I'm at jblakePhoto, and I will see you in the next one.